It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. So we move into a Monday. Gary, how are you?
Well, I mean, I'm just so excited. Okay, I'm really not. I was going to say the second weekend of preseason NFL is over.
The season's already over for the Cowboys. So
No, I said the second preseason game.
I know.
Yes.
That's the whole joke.
Yes.
It's
okay.
And the season's already over for the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not. It was over 2 weeks ago.
It was
before it ever started.
It was over years ago when Jerry decided to be the coach.
Oh, let me see. I know the Bills played last night. Let me just see. Bills lose 38-0 to Chicago. Okay, that's
yeah.
It's preseason.
I walked by a screen at a restaurant and they had the Cowboys game on. And I was like, oh, okay, and just kept walking. I mean, I was like, no. I got nothing.
I found it interesting the number of responses we got from Friday's beginning of the show about the NFL and all of their and
non-traditional cheerleaders.
Yes, we were talking about the non-traditional. Well, we were saying that because of all the virtue signaling coming from the NFL, and it was we said, okay, fine, if you wish to be woke and for social justice,
yeah, then
all your cheerleaders should be transgender.
Right.
And then we got a number of people sending us the male cheerleader on, I think, Carolina, and then it just blew up, the male cheerleaders on other teams out there. That, let's put it this way, if you're thinking, well, that happens in college.
Right. Yeah.
That happens in college. There are male cheerleaders.
Right.
Well, if you look at the imagery of it, the imagery is, well, let's put it this way. The outfits that at least one of them was wearing,
right,
that I saw that a listener sent to us, nothing was hidden.
Right.
It was so tight, nothing was hidden at all.
My nephew, I think pretty much all my nephews played high school football, but one of them said to me, he goes, we were, I guess we're watching a college game where there was a college game on the screen nearby. And he goes, I played football. I had to bench press, whatever it was, a couple 100 pounds. But those male cheerleaders have to throw humans up into the air. I wouldn't want to do that job. But this is a very different approach, as you mentioned, than the college football male cheerleaders. Very different outfits. And frankly, we report you decide.
Well, let's put it this way: when you look at let's be very sensitive about it, like we're sensitive about anything.
Right. Listen, we want to be very, very careful.
In college, you have the more traditional gender conforming outfits
and gender appropriate outfits.
Gender appropriate outfit.
Yeah. For instance, I would also say body type appropriate.
Well, I'd like to see it on the Dallas Cowboys now. We need to have the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Well, since I'm no longer watching, I'm with you.
Actually, the smartest team was the Bills. Couple, I don't know, about 10 years ago, they just got rid of the cheerleaders. It's like,
yeah,
they just got rid of them completely. It's like nobody really cares.
Right. It's back in the day, being a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader was like a thing, right? They were kind of celebrities for a minute. I have a friend of mine who is still today, actually, two friends married to former Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And, of course, they take that very seriously. But the point is, I don't see it highlighted as much. Now, I'm not paying attention, so maybe I miss it.
Not highlighted. They got a dang TV show.
Oh, really? Do they? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I don't watch TV.
It's
Not good for them.
It's and I some months back.
Is it a sitcom?
I don't know whether it was a repeat or whatever, but I was like, I watched probably 3 minutes of it, and I was like, okay, I am out of here. And I just went.
So it's just a reality TV show?
It's like a reality TV show.
Right.
Well, I mean, did she kick high enough? I mean, make sure she kicks
Okay.
high enough.
All
I
right.
don't know if you've got what it takes.
Right. Is she eating bread? But yeah. Okay, I get it.
Is that a cupcake?
Right. All of a sudden, she's tackled.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
But more important things to talk about. Well, not really. Because don't you love, I think what I saw over the weekend and Friday is more an indictment of the media than anything else. Everybody else people are, even on both sides, are coming to a conclusion before anything.
And they're
is settled
acting
at all.
as if Friday was also going to be a decider on how this was all going to end. Like they were going to come out and announce it and it was going to be done when they knew that going in, that wasn't going to be the case.
Right.
How many times did they say, the White House say, and the president say, listening session?
Yeah.
There was a Wall Street Journal piece. Was it Friday night or Saturday morning? I think it was Friday night. And but the president didn't get what he rolled out the red carpet for Putin, but he didn't get what he wanted. And I thought, calm down. It wasn't the editorial board, but I'm like, well, calm down. What are you? Where did you build these expectations? We have to be very careful, and you and I have repeated this. You pointed it out. I haven't seen a lot of people in the media point this out, but the Wall Street Journal. There's kind of two sides of the Wall Street Journal. There's the editorial board, and then there's the more and more liberal newsroom at the Wall Street Journal. And I didn't recognize the names of those the two people that wrote this article, but I was just reading it, and I was like, nobody was what did you expect him to get? What did you think others expected? What do you think Trump expected Trump to get? I mean, it was really bizarre.
Well, I'll tell you, because I got to New York in the afternoon because I was went and saw Dad, and went into their house and talked to Dad for a couple of minutes. By the way, he says hi to everybody.
Good.
He's
Good.
hanging in there.
Good.
He's hanging, physically he's okay. It's the mind.
Yeah.
And thanks for all the comments and everything else, and the people that have written me about their parents that have cognitive problems, and same to you. I know you've gotten those emails too. My brother's out, and he's watching the news. I think he's watching Newsmax. I didn't know they were on antenna TV. It's like, oh wow, that's and so it's the stuff going on, and then they come out for the press conference. So I sit down and watch it.
Yeah,
and I wasn't surprised by anything, but it was funny because it was just my brother. And, Putin comes out and, starts congratulating Trump. My brother's like, oh, God, what a load of BS.
Yeah.
I said, expected.
Yeah,
He's going to come out there and do exactly what he did. I think the thing that caught people off guard, and it didn't for me, because I said it's way too early to take any questions on this. So when they got off, but the fact is that isn't normal Trump.
No, what you heard was a very subdued, didn't go on a rant. He did bring up, I thought it was kind of funny, actually. I chuckled when he brought up the Russian collusion, when he said Russia, Russia, Russia. And I thought, I'm wondering if Putin gets the Brady Bunch reference there. Because that's based on Marsha.
Mm-hmm.
And but he didn't. I'd have to go back and time it. But I don't think there is a shorter statement that Trump has made, unless there's a prepared statement that he read, which I do, he really does, ever on anything. There may be a few, but it was extremely to the point and short. In fact, when I went back and watched I couldn't watch it live, but it posted immediately. And so I watched it like the replay almost right after it happened, maybe 10 minutes after it ended. And I looked at the length of time of the video, and I thought, why didn't they post the whole thing? That can't be it. And, of course, it was. And when Donald Trump is limited in words, you know there's a lot more that's got to happen for him to, for this thing to work out. This was again, even his tone, it was like, and when Putin, said, well, maybe next time you come to Russia, Trump was like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. But it just didn't, it wasn't the typical Trump, because it's what we said, I think, in the days leading up to it. And that is, I didn't get at all that Trump had any expectations whatsoever. They were laying their cards on the table. That's it.
Right. And even yesterday when he put out that X thing about saying that, that Zelensky could end the war tomorrow, so could Putin. But that wasn't the point. Right. The point is, what were the parameters he set? When you read the parameters, it's like, you're not going to get Crimea back, right, which had nothing to do with this war, though.
Right. Yeah.
And the and NATO, if you're going to push for those two things, you're not going to get a deal. Well, I don't know if that's all a bottom line at all from Zelensky, and I don't believe it is.
Right.
And so, again, it was where he said, the only part, and this is why I wish he wouldn't do things like that, even if the substance of it is within the parameters of what everybody would view as a deal, and not something that I don't even know if Zelensky would object to or the Europeans would object to.
Right.
In that thing. Because it doesn't matter whether you get into NATO, it's whether the security guarantees are security guarantees so Russia doesn't come in again. That's the only thing that matters in this particular case. That's the thing that really, really matters in that. But you're not going to get territory that was taken, and because Obama just said, I'm not getting involved in this, go take it. That happened during the Obama administration. But it wasn't that. It's the things like, he could stop the war tomorrow. Well, have you said that about Putin?
Right.
Since Friday.
Right.
Did you say that then? No.
Right.
But they don't matter when you've got the Europeans coming in. The Europeans got to agree to it. Zelensky's got to agree to it. Trump is basically saying, I'm sort of on the sidelines. I want a deal, but I'm on the sidelines. You guys sort of got to figure it out yourself.
Right.
And when I saw John Bolton say, well, it's right, not to have a ceasefire deal, when Bolton agreed with them.
Yeah.
And the left's just looking for, if you want to see nitpicking, and we'll have some of the audio cuts from especially Rubio yesterday, who I think did a pretty good job. But what I got out of this weekend, and what do you think about the deal? And my answer would be, I have no freaking idea.
Right.
Because I don't yet. And neither does anybody else.
Right.
And anybody trying to speculate on it, and there was the stuff, you saw everything from, well, he laid out the red carpet to, well, he's showing Putin because he flew the planes overhead. It's like one side of it. It's like, this is the greatest thing that Trump has ever done. You don't know that yet.
Well,
we give Trump, because of his record on foreign policy, we give him the benefit of the doubt,
right,
that he, but what I see so far, I can't get anything out of it except the fact of, this isn't the United States and Zelensky anymore. It's not the United States versus Zelensky. It's the United States, Europe, Zelensky trying to make a deal with Putin, who everybody knows you can't trust. So what really matters in here. What really matters is the security guarantees, and we'll see what happens.
Well,
Beyond that, we'll see what happens. We have no idea.
Yeah, we didn't learn, anything.
No.
On Friday, and I did think I chuckled a bit at the stealth flyover, especially when Putin just kind of looked up, almost surprised, and I expected Trump to go, "Made you flinch," and then punch him in the arm, But it's, and the only reason I chuckled is because I've said this for years. Putin himself is a troll.
Yeah.
He's always pushing boundaries in that way and doing the little, show of power and everything else. I did wonder if when President Trump leaned over right after they flew over, just 1 second after they flew over, if he said to Vladimir Putin, "They're on their way to Moscow." But that
did you see the you see the AI of them on the carpet both dancing?
Yeah. It's but other than that, it was I think it was kind of a counter troll moment, but nothing came of Friday. It did serve a purpose for the president. It served a purpose for the process.
Yeah.
But there is nothing new here because, number one, Putin can't be trusted. And also, there are a lot of moving parts and contingencies here. It's just going to, we're just going to have to wait this out. Now, we'll see where the progress goes. Trump on Truth Social. Big progress on Russia. Stay tuned. President DJT, and that was Truth Social on Sunday morning. But we don't know what that means.
Right. This is like making a season-long analysis from the preseason in the NFL.
Exactly, except for the fact that the season's over for the Cowboys.
Well, there are exceptions to the rule. I said making the analysis on the preseason games, not making the analysis in general, long-term, short-term, all-term.
Yeah, sorry, but you're not a Cowboys fan.
866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. How much do you know about synthetic oil? Heavy-duty trucks have been running on traditional mineral oil for the last 100 years, but today's technology brings us other options to consider. Synthetic is better quality. Unlike conventional oil, synthetic oils have a consistent molecular structure, giving it the ability to support pressures from higher horsepower engines, especially at lower RPMs. It also allows oil to reduce friction in an engine, controlling temperatures and improving fuel economy. Lastly, they're cleaner. Synthetics pick up fewer contaminants as they do their job of lubrication. They also have a better oxidation stability, resulting in an overall cleaner engine.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, all the pertinent audio cuts. Pertinent.
Right.
Yeah. All the audio cuts the top 5 audio cuts. Okay, I'm just doing that because
all the audio that's fit to read.
Are they still doing that in the news anymore? The top 5 things you need to know.
Yeah,
that's still going on in like at news stations.
Yeah,
anymore?
I like the other ones. Here's a fact about cheddar cheese you probably didn't know. Shut up.
So we'll get to that. We've got the evidence that James Comey is weird again.
Oh my gosh!
Wow. Coming up, crime in D.C. The left still can't get off it. Redistricting still in the news. We got a great show ahead.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. All right, let's get right to the audio.
All right.
From this week, this is Marco Rubio on, and we'll just play the audio. Here we
All
go.
right.
Critics of President Trump will say the pomp and circumstance, the red carpet, the warm handshake, that President Trump simply lost that Putin gained there just by being on the world stage and walking down a red carpet with the president. Your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, critics of President Trump are always going to find something to criticize. You don't even pay attention to it anymore. But I will tell you this. Putin is already on the world stage. He's already on the world stage. The guy's conducting a full-scale war in Ukraine. He's already on the world stage. He has the world's largest tactical nuclear arsenal in the world and the second largest strategic nuclear arsenal in the world. He's already on the world stage. When I hear people say that, oh, it elevates him, well, all we do is talk about Putin all the time. All the media's done is talk about Putin all the time for the last 4 or 5 years. That doesn't mean he's right about the war. That doesn't mean he's justified about the war. Put all that aside. It means you're not going to have a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. You're not going to end a war between Russia and Ukraine without dealing with Putin. That's just common sense. I shouldn't even have to say it. So people can say whatever they want. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to get the Russian side to agree to things that they don't want to agree to if we're going to have peace. If not, there'll just be a war. They'll keep killing each other, and life will go on in America and in the rest of the world, but not for Ukraine. So the president has invested a lot of time in trying to bring an end to this war. He deserves credit for doing that. He gets criticism for doing that. He could have just let this war go on. The president could have just said, this is Biden's war. It started under him. We'll do what we can for Ukraine, but we're going to focus on other things. He could have easily said that. But he's the only leader in the world that can get Putin to a...
Again, the imagery is what the left is concerned with constantly. Here's Senator Eric Schmidt on Fox News Sunday.
I look at this from a realistic point of view. The diplomacy that President Trump is engaging in, which has been very successful since he took office, is about engaging people that, maybe aren't your best friends in the world, but you're trying to get to a peace deal. That's exactly what this was. And I would also point out, it's going to take time. So that meeting led to the next meeting, which is going to happen on Monday, which will likely lead to the next meeting. That's how that typically works. I think for some people so used to the 24-hour news cycle, maybe that isn't fast enough, but that's how the real world works. And I would also point out that the people who are most critical have been wrong for the last 30 years about every single foreign policy issue under the sun. I mean, you just had Jake Sullivan on. Jake Sullivan just presided over, in the last 4 years, the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia that he's not critical about President Trump on, and also, by the way, on October 2nd, 2023, he talked about the Middle East being as quiet as it's been in decades, and we know what happened just 5 years later. So these Wilsonian adventurists who think America can be everywhere all at once all the time have been wrong about everything. President Trump is engaging Russia. He's bringing the two parties together to get to peace. That has always been his North Star, and I have full confidence that President Trump is going to do everything he can to facilitate that.
From the senator from Missouri there. So let me play this. This is Bakari Sellers, the liberal on CNN, State of the Union. Let's hear this. Here we go.
All right. I think Vladimir Putin is a thug. I think he's a war criminal, and I think he made Donald Trump look small. I mean, I understand the minutia of where I want a deal like every other American wants a deal, or you should be praying for that deal. However, like I've said before many times, Donald Trump cannot perform on the world stage because he simply does not have the intellect to match up with these world leaders. He's not Barack Obama. He's not Hilary Clinton. He's not even George Bush when it comes to being able to maneuver in these environments. And so what you saw was Vladimir Putin come and get what he wanted. I mean, the winner of this is Vladimir Putin. I don't know why we're trying to hide the
That's
ball.
what happened when he took Crimea. Obama gave him exactly what he wanted when he let Vladimir Putin have Crimea without so much as a shot or an objection.
There you go. And that's Brad Todd, CNN contributor there. But it's absolutely hilarious. It's like he's not as smart as Barack Obama. It's as we have said before, we went point by point with the things that Obama did. Mm-hmm. Obama is not smart.
No.
Obama was not good at foreign policy.
No.
Hillary Clinton, stop it.
But
the only thing is, I got to make sure I mention this. We can't let this pass by.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Trump had the wrong response about Hilary Clinton coming out and saying, when she came out and said, if Trump can do a deal here, I'll nominate him. For the
Right.
Nobel Peace Prize, and he said, okay, I might learn to like her or whatever. I'm paraphrasing here. No, she's doing that. So hopefully, if I compliment him, maybe his Justice Department won't indict me for anything.
Right.
That's
That's
the first
right.
thing I thought of.
Please don't put me in prison. Yeah, that's funny. It's
By the way, his answer was fine. It was all he said a nice smirk on his face when he said it.
This whole thing of once again the left. We said last week we thought pretty much the left was done with Barack Obama, but of course they'll make their comparisons here, and it's ludicrous. And as you mentioned, Obama knew nothing about foreign relations. Keep in mind, he brought on Joe Biden to the ticket for Joe Biden's foreign relations. That's how bad it was. He brought Joe Biden onto the ticket for Joe Biden's foreign relations expertise, which was also crap. That's how much Obama didn't know. I like the part at the end of that audio, though. Yeah, it was just like, with Crimea when Obama was in office. He just walked in, no shots fired. Right. It's like, wah, wah, wah. Sorry to deflate your balloon.
Well, I mean, again, what they're hoping is you have short memories. And as we said, when you see the success, because not only, did Trump go in and take out the Iranian nuclear program,
mm-hmm.
he got all the European countries. He got the world to agree with him, which means his people were out there everywhere.
Yeah.
Selling what they were doing, and that worked. When you look at the Abraham Accords from his first term, when you look at the peace deals that he has just done in the last couple of months that were laid out the other day, like 7 of them between countries that have been fighting for years.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make that stick. The only way you can make that stick is if the American public doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
That's the only way you can make that stick.
Right.
And again, like I said, I'm not, again, I don't know what's going to happen here. The concerns that I have are the concerns that everyone has.
Mm-hmm.
And that is you can't trust Putin. And that came up on Meet the Press with Christian Welker when Rubio was on, saying that, how can you do a deal with Putin because he's a professional liar?
Right.
And you stated that, she said to Marco Rubio back in 2022. Let's hear her form that question, and then Marco Rubio answer back.
Terry, I want to play something you said about President Putin. This was right after the invasion in March of 2022. Take a look.
This guy lies, habitually lies. He's never kept a deal they've ever signed, and he lies all the time. And I don't know why, but he plays us like a violin in the West, because the West wants to believe that you can cut a deal with everybody. You can't cut a deal with guys like this. He's a professional, experienced liar.
Mr. Secretary, given that, what makes you think that if you are able to reach a deal with President Putin, that he would stick to it, based on, as you just said, he's a liar?
Well, that's the point. That's why the deal has to have enforceable mechanisms in it. That's why the deal has to have things like security guarantees. That's the point I was making a few minutes ago when you were asking me about looking someone in the eye. What's important here is actions, not words, not paper, document. Those are all important. Those are elements of a deal, but they have to be enforceable. They have to be verifiable. They have to be enduring. There's no point here in signing a deal that's going to be violated in 3 or 4 months. There's no point in doing that. It actually would make things worse. So that's why this is such a difficult thing. Not only do you need a deal, you need a deal that's verifiable, that's enforceable, and that's enduring. If you don't achieve that, then I think you could have a ceasefire for a few months, a few weeks, and then the war will start again and more people will die. That's not the outcome we're interested in. That's not the outcome anyone wants. So that's why this is so difficult.
Yep. Wow. couldn't trust the Soviet Union either.
Right, exactly.
You can't trust, quote, the Palestinians.
Yeah,
I say,
exactly.
quote, the Palestinians.
Right, yeah.
Hamas.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't trust Iran. Were all these liberal reporters saying that when Obama did the Iran deal that simply gave them a path to nuclear weapons?
Right. The old phrase that Reagan used that actually came from a Russian proverb: "Trust but verify."
Yeah.
And I've always been, I'm not going to trust. I'm only going to verify.
Yeah, exactly.
Because what is trust?
Well,
trust is nothing without the verification. You can say, okay, I trust it. If you trust it, you don't need to verify.
Well,
that's just my point.
Well, actually, if you trust someone, you don't need verification.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't need the second part. Trust means just that. And I don't trust, so I verify. And that's really what you look at the entire situation. I think Marco Rubio handled that question perfectly. It's clearly, she's trying to, Kristen Welker's just trying to get her moment, trying to, but this doesn't, this situation has not changed at all. No one in the administration believes it has changed. There is one, and this is a very small step in the process, a necessary step, but it's nothing until the war is over. Period.
Like I said, Friday was, it was funny when you're paying attention, especially on X. He's putting out the red carpet. This is the most horrible. And then he gave him a warm handshake. He's just kissing his butt. This is ridiculous. And then the influencers on X, as we like to call them, the always Trumpers. He flew those military jets right over his head. He's sending him a message. This is going to be tough. This is going to be tough. We're in charge. You're not in charge. And I'm I'm laughing as I was on the plane reading this stuff, right before I landed.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here, I'm laughing, saying, you don't know. Nobody knows.
Right.
Yeah, the imagery's there, but the imagery means nothing. The only thing that means anything is the deal that you strike and the security guarantees that you have in there. And I think from what I've seen so far, the fact of the Europeans going to be involved in this, as we now know. They haven't been invited to the meeting, in fact. We'll get into that later on in the show. But it's like, okay, we need to get a deal done. And, of course, as we talked about Friday, I believe the president has a lot of ammunition that he can use against Russia. There's a lot of things that we can do.
Yeah. There's leverage all day
to hurt Russia, and we talked about that on Friday's show. Mm-hmm. And yes, I do understand that when we talked about this the other day, when one side, that would be Putin, does not want to end the war, and the other side only cares about peace, you're always concerned that if you want, all you care about is peace no matter how you get it, and the other side doesn't care about peace at all, that if you don't have security guarantees in there that are enforced every time, then the deal is useless.
Right. Yep.
So those are the concerns that you would look at.
Yep.
But the president promoting peace to the world is sort of what he did. Remember when he complimented Iran before he went in and bombed them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
People are like, I can't believe he's doing it. We're like, let's see what happens.
Well, this is what we said in his first term when he's talking with Kim Jong-un. We're like, guys, calm down. This is part of his particular process as an individual. This is kind of how he gets it, because we always saw that as, look, he's gonna vet the diplomacy thing to the end in case he needs to take action against North Korea. Same thing with Iran. He gave them a choice.
Yeah.
And they didn't take it.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We're Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Just reading from Mark Halperin. On CNN, a program that advertises itself as featuring the best objective reporters, had one on this morning who asserted without reservation that Trump doesn't care about ending the war in Ukraine to stop people from dying. He just is vain and wishes to get the Nobel Peace Prize, and that Trump really doesn't care about the violence crime in D.C. except as a political issue. These claims on that show went fully unchallenged. Well,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, of course.
Top of the hour news is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
all across America. We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning.
До свидания.
Yet.
Yet.
I think I wrote that as an answer to you on something over
did.
the weekend. I
You
remember,
did.
I remember
And
just writing yet.
And I
about something.
literally laughed out loud.
Did you?
Who was it? Angela Johnson Reyes, the stand-up comedian. She says, you know, when I write LOL, you know, I only write that as a response if I actually laugh out loud.
Yeah.
If I write back, ha ha, that's probably me going, huh, like that. But because she's trying to be honest about it, I literally laughed out loud when you wrote yet as the response.
I do the same thing, though. When I say laugh out loud, it actually made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Now, I'll just I'll put like a laughing emoji.
Right. Yeah.
If I found it funny.
Right.
But I never respond, ha ha, because when somebody does that to me, I'm like, oh, it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Whatever I wrote to them.
No, that sounds like you're being sarcastic, right? Like, ha ha. Like, when, like if they're calling you, Einstein, that's not a compliment. Okay, Einstein.
Yeah, exactly. That's they really don't mean it.
Exactly.
All right, before we get to everything. What do you mean before we get to everything else? This is something else.
This is part of
before we get
everything
everything
else.
This is part of everything else.
That's right.
I'm sorry. Let me stop.
It qualifies as else.
Those stupid radio. What do you call it?
Isms.
Yeah. Radioisms. It's before we whatever.
Without further ado. Well, saying further ado is further ado.
The worst imagery over the weekend was the protest in D.C.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm looking at an extended video here about 40 seconds long. And there's, hundreds upon hundreds of people walking down the streets saying, basically what Trump's doing is D.C. is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And on it, it's like, there's no black people.
It's all white people.
And we talked about the polling last week.
Yep.
I'm sitting and going, well, now the Democratic Party, the Democrats are protesting the federal government protecting blacks.
Yep.
I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, Trump, you should not have held that. You should have held that the summit on Friday, because it dominated the news cycle, and stuff like this needed to be out there.
Exactly.
No.
Horrible timing. Yeah.
Horrible timing. I saw that, and it just was, that would have, if it wasn't for everything going on with the summit, I mean, it was out there, but that would have been one of the number one things. I mean, the mocking, let me just see, because that would be a Babylon Bee headline for me.
Yeah.
Whites vehemently protest the federal government protecting law-abiding blacks from crime.
Yeah. Exactly. But that's, again, and the poll backs it up.
Yeah, the poll does back it up. The poll, and it was it New York Times, I think, took it last week? Was it New York Times? And it was
it's like 91%. It's like, well, who are the others? Well, we know. Yeah. As you pointed out last week, because I was like, we want to talk to those other people. And you said, no, we know who they are.
Yeah.
It's whites.
It's white liberals who don't live there.
Right.
Oh, I did see. Let me find this here. Because it was, and I couldn't, I had to read it from Breitbart because I don't have a subscription to the New York Times. I'm not paying for it.
Do you get a W-2 from George Soros, those protesters? Or is that a W-9? What do they get? Ooh, are they claiming that on their taxes?
Okay, it didn't print up for some reason. Maybe it was a New York Post.
All right.
About, Maureen Dowd. It's in the headline was like, Maureen Dowd admits, and somehow it didn't print. I'll find it here.
Okay.
Maureen Dowd says, and Maureen Dowd, you and I always go back to Maureen Dowd. And this goes back a few years ago. I think it had Trump's first term. That when her friends on the left, when things aren't going good, they just turn everything off. They don't pay attention.
Right.
They don't pay attention to anything.
Right.
They just don't get involved at all. They don't fight back. And you have to ask yourself this question. It's like, whenever we hear, okay, who was the latest liberal to say they're moving overseas or whatever? There was somebody.
Jimmy Kimmel is saying he wants to apply for to be a citizen of Italy.
Right.
And, and leave the country.
And that really gets, they don't wish to actually have a debate. They don't wish to stay in the country if things don't go their way. You saw. We had talked about it, but this actually blew up over the weekend. Those two writers I think it was a New York Times editorial, that they can't believe the military's obeying what Trump's telling them to do.
Yeah.
Well, aren't we going to save democracy with a military coup?
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? I mean,
right.
Here we go.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
We're Monday morning, or here we are Monday morning. And we always ask, like after a week of like last week, what will we possibly be able to talk about next week?
Exactly.
That will be on
crazier than last week.
Yes, more bizarre level.
Right.
And we got it.
The new level of crazy.
Yep. We as white people, like we're a monolithic group. We as white people are going to protest the fact that Donald Trump wishes to protect law-abiding, innocent, because the majority is black in Washington, D.C., blacks in D.C. How dare he do that? That racist. That's the kind of thing that Hitler would do.
Exactly. Told you he was Hitler.
That's exactly what. I mean, you might as well read the KKK pamphlet.
Exactly.
For gosh sakes.
Right.
But it was pointed out on X, and it was a field day from the people that posted it, but it didn't go super viral like it would have, I believe, if the whole summit hadn't taken place. Excuse me. The first meeting hadn't taken place on Friday.
Yeah.
Because it was so bizarre. All you can do is laugh. All you can do is you watch it, you're just like. And then when I looked at the headline, it said, "There's no black people." And I'm like, so there I am. This is like when Howard Schultz said, I bet you don't even know the ethnicity or the color of the skin of people that live on your own street.
Right.
And I went,
and then suggested you should go around and take note of that.
Right. And so and I was like, well, no, I don't. The whole point is I don't give a damn.
Right.
I don't care. I don't care.
I would think, in fact, it would be weird. In fact, some might call it racist to keep a tally on other ethnicities living on your block.
Well, then I did do it. I went out. I was cutting the lawn one day, and I said, okay, And the only reason I did was because I didn't have my earbuds on playing music.
Yeah.
And therefore,
you're thinking of that stupid idea from Schultz. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, that's it. Go. Well, let me see here. Okay, I went down. At the end, I went, oh no, I'm a minority on my own street. And then I moved immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Over to Jasmine Crockett's district.
And when I and when I moved, the property values went up.
Yeah, exactly. Skyrocketed. It's just a bizarre notion. It really is a bizarre notion. You know, you should take note. Like you go to the door. Yeah, I'm your neighbor down the street. What ethnicity are you? And can I get a list for the whole household, please? What is this is how their liberal minds think. They're obsessed with racism. They're obsessed with identity politics. The overwhelming majority of us, day to day, we're not obsessed with it.
No.
We get along. We judge each other based on behavior.
And that's where a few years ago, when that's how I was raised from the beginning by my parents, we never, I don't think there was except for making fun of the Irish, which we are.
There's only two kinds of people I can't stand. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
The Dutch.
Michael Caine from Austin Powers.
And my parents never told us not to use ethnic slurs. You just knew you didn't.
Of course not.
You
knew it.
You just knew it. You didn't do it. It wasn't accepted. I also had a discussion over the weekend. It was talking. Man, I met some great people this weekend. I met a farmer and his wife who live an hour outside Minneapolis.
Oh, wow.
Grows corn and soy.
Yeah, wow.
And it was what a great discussion.
How did he have time to stop and talk to you?
Well, no, because I stay at the same hotel all the time.
Yeah.
And so I had a glass of wine that turned into two with him. Such a fascinating conversation. It was unbelievable. I know everybody at the hotel. I walk in. It's not a big hotel, and I know everybody.
Yeah.
And they've got a restaurant bar area right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I met and it's great because funny thing is he says, well, look, because he said, we live outside. You used to have season tickets to the Vikings.
Oh.
I think he still has them. Doesn't go. Doesn't go. It's too dangerous. They don't want to go.
Oh, wow.
And it's like he said, now I don't want to get into politics, and I went, that's okay. You can get into politics with me.
Right.
That's no
right.
That's no problem at all. But that just popped into my mind. And so I'm glad it did, because what a great guy. But it's when you and I, with the whole identity politics thing, went, why we take an opinion on something, economically, and we get, you guys are racist. It's like, where does that come from? And we finally realized, since we really don't. I could care less about your ethnicity. I could care less about your color, of your skin. I mean, I don't care about the color of your hair or your eyes either. I just don't care the ethnicity. I just don't. I care about you as an individual.
Right.
And that's how I judge everyone. And there's never been a time in my life, there was never like an evolution. Okay, I went to college, and when I went to college, the professors there were the ones that told me, you shouldn't be paying attention to skin color. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Oh, my God, I was judging everything by skin color.
Right.
I was judging everybody by the group that they're in.
Of course.
Not as individuals. But then I realized that's what they do, and and I do believe that you have a lot of and I'll say white liberals that the reason they're throwing that at you is because they're projecting. That's how they feel. I do believe when people are like, well, white guilt exists, and I believe it's in liberalism. And I think it's because everybody, for some bizarre reason, has agreed that identity politics, judging people by groups and not individuals, is the way to go. And they all do it.
Oh, yeah.
And, and I mean, on the left, the politicians, whatever. I'm not saying that every Democrat does that or every liberal does that, but there are so many that use it because identity politics is mainstream in the Democratic Party.
Oh, yeah.
And we brought this up years ago and have talked about it. I've still to this date never received any criticism of that opinion.
No, it's because I don't know how you.
For
I don't know how you would
talking about that.
I don't know how you would counter that,
right?
Because they demonstrate it every day, still today. In fact, more and more.
Yeah.
And these protests in D.C. One more example. This is about and we go back to the redistricting thing in Texas. That is again. They're looking to preserve their identity politics tactic for the Democratic Party. If they lose that, if that goes away, they've got nothing. And now we think it's empty to begin with, but they think it works. Remember, the permanent governor of Georgia, Stacey Abrams. It's working, and we need to do more of it. And that's what they believe. And they keep doing it.
Did you see that meme over the weekend? It said why the Democrats have failed, and it shows Obama. I need to pick a vice president that's more stupid than me. And it shows Biden. And then Biden. I need to pick a vice president that's more stupid than me.
It
shows Kamala Harris. And then it's
oh my
God. And it says Kamala Harris. I need to pick a vice president who's dumber than me. And there's Tim Walz going, tampons in the men's room. And then my buddy puts below it. I sent it to a buddy of mine. Yeah. And he sent back to me, he said, next. And it was Stacey Abrams and AOC.
Oh, my gosh. That's funny.
It's like,
I love it.
It's great.
Yeah.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Owner-operator Mike Nichols is leased to Wayne Transports, pulling in their dry bulk division today after decades in business for himself. Speaking to Overdrive's Todd Dills recently, Nichols offered a word of advice to any company driver planning to make the switch to running as an owner-operator. Unless you've got access to family money or otherwise independently wealthy, he noted.
As a company driver, you need to be thinking about startup capital and down payment. And I would just say that you need to treat that like you would firewood. Save what you think you might need and then triple it, if not quadruple it. And you'll be thankful that you did.
You'll be glad you did. That is, not just given favorable loan terms with a good down payment. Inevitably with trucking, you'll get hit with a breakdown and huge repair bill, or another of those unforeseen events. You'll need that reserve cash to cover it and avoid taking on debt or going out of business. Hear more from Overdrive's 2024 Trucker of the Year contenders at overdriveonline.com/PIB.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Interesting polls out there that we'll get to here in just a little bit. One on a couple of them from Harry Anton on CNN that were really interesting about young people today, and also there's not a Democrat that's at 25% right now, and he said that's unprecedented, that there is no leader when it comes to looking for a president, is no favorite right now at all.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
In the age of identity politics, we said this is the way it works. You create more and more victims and more oppressors, which means even on your own side, there are more oppressors within your own group every single day.
Yeah, you'll find a problem with anybody.
Yep, and so the breakdown means you're not bringing people together. And, you know, in the age of AOC, I'm the boss. They're only worried about their own profile, so it makes sense.
And then James Comey. I'm just going to say, James Comey put out a video this week.
Yeah.
He looks like he's the Walking Dead.
This is so weird.
It is.
This is so weird.
Who were the first radio talk show host or anyone in the country that said, this guy's weird. He's not
weird.
normal.
Yeah, that was us.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right, so, my God. Every week, it's just like something else where you're like, I can't believe I'm actually seeing this.
Yeah.
James Comey put out this, former FBI director James Comey put out this video over the weekend. And when I first heard about it, and they said, oh, man, he's just, you know, this is really, really weird. You know, this guy, I mean, what the hell's wrong with him? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, is he, you know, going after Trump or talking about the fact that his name is coming up all the time?
Right.
I heard it a lot over the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, probably you can't go after Obama because of the Supreme Court decision, but Brennan, Clapper, Comey, they could be in deep trouble. And that's all over the place, and he knows it, so you're expecting, okay, he's going to respond somehow to that. Well, first off, when you look at the video to begin with, just the beginning of the video, you know, where you're starting it, and you can see him standing there. There's nothing behind him. Am I the only one, if you've seen the video, am I the only one that looks like it's a mugshot?
Yes. I'm like, you can't find a background?
There's no background. There's not just a wall, a blank wall behind him.
Yeah.
It looks like a mugshot.
It might be a sign of things to come.
And the thing is, if you're going to do a video, have a background behind you, fake plants, even a window,
right?
Sports paraphernalia,
right?
Taylor Swift memorabilia.
My favorite book, How to Be an Idiot for Idiots.
But there's nothing, and when you look at them, you're like, what is this, a mugshot? No, this is a video. Well, let's see what he wants to talk about. Are you ready?
All right.
If you haven't heard this, if you've heard it, you'll probably want to hear it again because it's so bizarre and weird. Here we go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my Substack. Last week's cold turns out to have been COVID. Quite a flashback. And Donald Trump is still president and still humiliating America on a national stage, standing next to Vladimir Putin. It's like a dream, a bad dream you can't wake up from. But I don't want to talk about that bad dream this week. I want to talk about a truly inspirational public figure named Taylor Swift. Of course, I watched her podcast interview with the Kelsey brothers. Of course, I watched the whole thing, although on YouTube, Patrice and I got kicked off for the last 15 minutes and finished it on her phone. But I watched it. You see, Taylor Swift and I go way back. I went to my first concert of hers 15 years ago. I've been to a second, and I have helped financially support the attendance of a lot of family members at others. I'm in a family's Swiftie group chat. I know all her music, and I listen to it in my headphones when I cut the grass. So yes, I have a favorite of hers, although honestly for me it's a tie between All Too Well, 10-minute version, and Exile featuring Bon Iver. Taylor Swift has grown up with my family. and provided us a soundtrack, really, as we've grown ourselves and learned and adapted and dealt with adversity and celebration.
Do you need to hear any more?
What do the Baileys think about Taylor Swift? Because if I'm listening to this, by the way, I don't know if you saw it. It was just a little while ago. Taylor Swift actually released a statement replying to the video. Quote, ew. End quote. That's creepy as hell.
And when you see the way
Are you a grown man?
This is former director of the FBI.
Taylor and I go way back. And then he just says he's been listening to her music for a long time.
Cuts the line.
I don't think that's going way back. I first went to her show. I remember that day. I started that day with oatmeal and orange juice. And then we made our way to lunch where I had a salad. And then we headed to the show because I wanted to get there nice and early with all the other Swifties. By the way, in case you're wondering, yes, the salad was all organic, fair trade, locally sourced.
Donald Trump is destroying the nation, but I'm a Swiftie.
Listen, I don't think it would be appropriate for me to repeat Senator Kennedy and what he suggested last week. I'll just say that Comey could probably use a couple of things from Amazon. What in the world is that? Creepy. You and I have been saying he's weird and creepy. We started from the beginning when he was testifying on Capitol Hill. He doesn't use law enforcement language.
Yeah, we came out and said he does not sound like at all that he has the investigative and curiosity abilities, which you need if you're an investigator,
right,
to be the FBI director.
Law enforcement has their own language. You know it when you hear it, and you know when they're talking about investigations, you're talking about things, and it's because it is a technical approach again to the process that is law enforcement,
right?
And
puzzle solving,
yes, and those are things that tell you, oh well, this person has done that job before. They have some experience. He didn't speak the language there, and then. After all of that, the liberals just made him a hero. Now he thinks, I guess, he's an influencer. I don't know how this works with him. Oh. But it's along the way. Remember him standing in a cornfield and just gazing into the horizon? Yes. Like, dude, what are you looking at? The camera's over here. What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
We've always thought he just is extremely odd in the way that he presents himself. And that's what started it, where when we were able to watch him actually testify about what he did in his job.
Yeah.
And it was really his response to the questioning and how nothing ever made sense. There was never a connection of dots.
Right.
And we thought it was amazing on that July 5th. What year was that?
2016.
2016. Okay. I was on the golf course.
Yeah.
Talking to you.
Right.
But when he laid out the part of the espionage law that she broke, and we said, oh, well, if he's laying out what she broke, then, wow, the Department of Justice is going to have to prosecute. And then he said no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute it, as if he was the prosecutor. None of it made sense at all.
Right.
It was like, did you actually pre-read this thing before you did it?
Right.
Which caused all the uproar of it. And then at that point, it came to when he was testifying before Congress. We would testify before Congress, and we just said he's not, doesn't at all sound like an investigator. He's just the way he thinks and the way he explains things is just so odd. Thank you for confirming everything that we thought back then with that bizarre video.
It was so bad. I watched it a few times, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to put the AI asterisk next to this because it's so weird. And then I thought,
wow.
No, you know what I mean? And then I'm thinking, no, it actually, I don't think AI could get as weird as James Comey. I don't, with all of the different AI platforms that are out there, I don't think that altogether they could work and come up with something as bizarre as the mind of James Comey. He's weird, and it's really creepy. He made the video about being a fan of, not just a fan. I'm sorry, this is stalker territory of Taylor Swift. As a grown man and former FBI director, if it's not like somebody asked him in passing, hey, are you a Swiftie? Oh, I love her music. She's great. And then you move on. He's got to demonstrate to the world that he's a true blue Swiftie.
I need to get this out there. You need to know how incredibly passionate I am. And I'm not a bandwagon Swiftie.
It goes back a long time.
It goes back a long time.
That's a great point, yeah.
No, you don't think that did you think I just jumped aboard? Yeah, that's what the public's been worried about and concerned about over the last couple of months.
That's right.
Whether you've got Swiftie street cred.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're not supposed to laugh at something you say yourself, but that was so stupid. Swiftie street cred.
In my refrigerator right now, I have a miniature Taylor Swift carved out of butter. What? I talk to her. She talks to me. She like the Baileys. She drives my career.
when I,
my gosh, it's just so.
When I play
weird.
with my Taylor Swift life like doll, it's
yes, exactly. Here's my question: has his wife filed for divorce since this video came out? We need to we need to watch that.
He included her as watching it with him, so he didn't get that divorce.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
Just weird upon all weird.
It's just creepy.
Well, as Eric said, you said it might apply what Senator Kennedy said to Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. It might apply here to Comey here. In case you didn't hear what Senator Kennedy had to say last week.
Yeah.
John Kennedy, here it is.
Yeah.
Mainstream wing of the party is scared to death of the loon wing. They won't speak up, and they don't stand for anything anymore. All they stand for is whatever is against whatever President Trump stands for. That's why we find ourselves in the extraordinary position of mainstream Democrats have now come out firmly and passionately in favor of crime in Washington, D.C. Why? Because Trump is trying to do something about it.
Chucky Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, they're, quote, minority leaders in name only. They'll never stand up to that wing, will they?
No, but they could. And I don't mean any disrespect. I don't know Mr. Jeffries that well. I know Senator Schumer very well. So I say this with respect. Chuck and Hakeem need to go to Amazon, buy some testicles, and stand up to the loon wing of their party.
All I'm saying is James Comey could do some shopping on Amazon for a couple things.
What I love is he prefaced that with no disrespect.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Young people, some new polling out on that. The Democrats, another poll out there, which shows the Democrats have no idea where they're going. It's interesting because I did see someone over the weekend said that there is no Democratic Party right now. Well, there is, and because they are a loyal opposition against anything that Trump wants to do, so they actually exist. Yeah. But as to the future, as to where they go, I understand why that point is being made. And so we'll have some of this polling coming up following the bottom of the top of the hour. More on Zelenski and the meeting going on today. And what else do we got here? There's something else I wanted to bring up. Oh, yeah, redistricting. Democrats could lose. Forget about redistricting. Democrats could lose 10 seats in 2030 just from voters leaving blue states.
Ooh. All right.
Just from leaving blue states.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because you look at that with redistricting and you're talking major shift.
Oh, yeah. Right. And that migration continues.
And something I was talking with a couple of friends over the weekend, which was a great question about the Democrats.
Yeah.
Coming up.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Hello.
Sometimes our editorials that are just too good. You ready for this?
All right.
This was Wall Street Journal over the weekend.
Okay.
Sean O'Brien has a credit card for you. The Teamsters offers a privilege card with sky-high interest rates. Teamsters president Sean O'Brien presents himself as a tribune of the working class and a scourge of greedy corporations. But what does that make the Teamsters for the interest rates on the credit card they sponsor for their own union members? Mr. O'Brien likes to denounce credit card issuers for their interest rates. Interest rates on credit cards are 19 to 29 to 30%, depending on your credit, he said in a recent interview. So it's like a strategy, I think, just to keep people in debt now and to make them beholden to work in 2 or 3 jobs. This year, Mr. O'Brien hosted a podcast named Better Bad Ideas with Missouri GOP Senator Josh Hawley. You've got a lot of our members, your constituents, who are paying 28, 29% on their credit card rates that they'll never be able to pay off, Mr. O'Brien said. Mr. Hawley has sponsored legislation with Bernie Sanders to cap credit card interest rates at 10%. But maybe check with the finance department, Mr. O'Brien. His union sponsors a privilege card for its members with Capital One that charges rates well beyond Mr. Hawley's cap. Customers with fair or good credit pay an APR of 27.49% that adjusts with market interest rates, meaning it can go up. Those with excellent credit don't have to pay interest for the first 15 months. Some might call this a teaser rate, but thereafter get charged up to 25.15% that again can increase with market rates. Late payment penalties on the Teamsters card can run up to $38. Both Teamster cards come with no rewards for users, unlike those sponsored by Amazon and major credit card issuers. But the rewards have been good for the Teamsters. The union has received more than $5 million in royalties from the Capital One card since 2021, according to the Labor Department filings. It's good to know that Mr. O'Brien is a willing capitalist when it serves his own interests.
Yeah, of course.
But if he tried to put Mr. Hawley's interest rate cap that he has promoted on a Teamsters card, he would soon find that credit would vanish. That's what happens with price controls.
Mm-hmm.
As for Teamsters members, you're probably better off sticking with a bank card than your own union card, whose aim is to rip you off.
Wow.
I saw that and I just burst out laughing. God, they just make it so easy, don't they?
Well, they really do. I mean, that's, again, union leadership pretending to care for the common people and union members, and, of course, they don't.
Look, if you're going to get screwed over by your own union. Don't go outside.
That's right.
By the way, has Trump moved on that 10% at all? Remember, Trump promoted it, too, the 10% was with Hawley.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to go. You're not going to see that.
No, I doubt.
You're not going to see that. But
yeah.
Remember, Trump was promoting that.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know how Hawley thinks it's going to happen. I guess if he got enough, Democrats on board, right? I mean, that's where you would do it.
Well, the one thing, for example, in the article, I did skip over this part. Let me get to it because it's pretty important. It goes, the late payment penalties on the Teamster cards can run up to $38, and you're like, how? Remember the credit card bill of rights?
Mm-hmm.
This is 5 times more than the Biden Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's $8 cap. The Trump administration asked a federal judge to vacate the cap because it would restrict access to credit for lower-income folks.
Well,
what Trump is saying is he really doesn't believe in the 10% cap that he promoted when he was campaigning last year.
Right.
He doesn't believe in it.
Right.
Because the entire reason, when you saw the credit card bill of rights that the Democrats put in, you had millions of people that didn't have excellent credit lose their credit cards.
Yep.
And so they had to be forced into the payday loans, which are way more expensive.
And the left went crazy on that.
Yeah. But that was promoted. It was promoted big time by Obama. And then when Josh Hawley came up with it, it's like, whoa. And so Trump is like, we don't want the $8 cap. Let the Teamsters have $38. Right. Remember, they were complaining back then like $25 or $28 late fees. Wasn't that what it was at that point?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing. That's why Trump won't do it. Because he's afraid that if you take away, let's say you put a 10% interest rate, how many credit cards would disappear?
Oh, yeah, they would pare down that's the first thing that would happen. They would pull back those credit lines immediately.
Yeah. And those people would be driven where?
Payday loans.
Payday loans. I have no idea. Josh Hawley seems, in so many other things, to be extremely highly intelligent. As I have found out, though, over the last couple of decades, there are extremely intelligent people that have no clue about economics.
Yep.
None.
Right.
For some reason, Their brain cannot process how economics actually works. And again, we'll get into debate. We've got into debates with some of our listeners. It's like, it's not an opinion.
No.
I don't have any opinion on economics.
No.
I've just observed how people respond to incentive. That's not an opinion.
Right. Look, the market's going to find a way. The companies are going to find a way. The financial companies are going to find a way. The credit card companies are going to find a way. They're not going to go, okay, yeah, we'll just make less. What they do immediately is start pulling back those credit lines, and then upping the credit worthiness standard.
But if Josh Hawley is so bent on 10% credit card rates, how come? Remember, Trump agreed with him last year. You're trying to ever anything from Trump about that now. Why isn't Hawley all over his case for trying to get the cap above $8, succeeding in getting the cap above $8,
right?
Or whatever it is, for the, the $8 for Biden was $8. You sure Josh Hawley doesn't want that? Why isn't he criticizing Trump for doing that? Where late fees for that credit card are $38. If late fees are unfair, if credit card rates are unfair, then the late fees are also viewed as unfair. Why isn't Josh Hawley screaming at the rooftops against Trump? My point is, does anybody believe what they actually say? Or do they just want that moment where people believe, is that their own form of virtue signaling?
Yeah, no, I think it's, this populist thing, for Hawley, shaking his fist at the big bad credit card companies. That doesn't sound like a conservative approach.
No.
Because at the end of it, you know what's going to happen. You know what this is going to mean.
Well, I know Trump's worried about it because if you take, let's say you brought it down to 10%, which would be way more radical than the credit card bill of rights.
Right.
If you lose 30 million credit cards, that's people who can't be purchasing things, which affects the retail aspect of your economy.
Yep.
That's why Trump doesn't want it.
Right.
That's why he petitioned to get it raised.
Well, if you look at the boom of the economy in the 80s, a lot of that had to do with the massive increase in credit lines, not just from the banks, but through the actual individual stores. The retailers started having their own credit cards, right? J.C. Penney, Kohl's, they all have their own brand, and of course it's backed by those same financial companies. But that was a big deal. And of course, malls. Remember malls? For those under the age of 40, a mall was a place where there was a bunch of stores under one roof.
Do I not get as many? Because I used to get credit card junk mail all the time. I hardly ever get one. Is that because they figured out my age?
Yeah, probably.
And it seems like...
Yeah, and I'm not just saying that to be facetious.
No,
I'm saying
I
it
didn't
for
think
that
of
reason,
way.
too, but I'm also saying it because... for the actual reason, it is, they start pulling back those credit lines because they're going, this guy probably doesn't buy many green bananas.
Or, he's on a fixed income because they're wondering if I'm retired. And I bring that up also because it seems like every 6 months, my banks are asking me to verify my salary again.
Yeah.
Is that because
I get that every couple of months.
Is that because they believe that, or are they just keeping track of everybody?
I think right now it's because underwriters know that the economy is, there's things are changing. Was it the Wall Street Journal? I think it was the Wall Street Journal, and we touched on the story last week. People aren't moving. They're not, buying homes. They're not moving from the home they live in, and they're also not changing jobs. And that tells you that the employment situation is, I don't know if stagnant's the right word, but we're in that situation where there isn't massive growth right now. And when underwriters know this, I I have a family member, my nephew, who's an underwriter, and they understand it. They have to just basically all the time assess what's going on with the buying public, and I think it's, that's why they have to check basically with everybody. They look at, because your debt to income ratios is important as well. So if all of a sudden, you got laid off and your income is nothing, or if you took a pay cut, or, if you're collecting unemployment versus a full-time paycheck, those things all matter based on what your current debt load is or what they are willing to extend in credit lines, which would be any future credit limits. So that all has to be assessed constantly. But certainly as the marketplace is changing and certain dynamics are in play, that's imperative. That's their bottom line.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Oh, one other thing I wanted to tell you. I talked to that friend. Remember I was telling you about that a friend of mine who, a woman who had been out of work for a long time. She finally got a job, and when she got a job, I went to congratulate her. I looked up, basically her resume on one of the job posting services. And this person I know is more qualified. I'd hire her in a second to do anything because that's how good she is.
Yeah.
Even if it's outside her field of expertise. She's that good.
Right.
It's like 9 months before she could get a job. Wow. When I checked out, everywhere on every service, she had she, her pronouns. Remember we did that last year, I think, the Wall Street Journal? When asked what are your pronouns, don't answer. Why gender pronouns are becoming a big deal at work.
Yeah.
There's all these things. It's like, no,
Right.
you're going to have more people ignore you. And the funny thing is, I said, next time I talk to her, and I talked to her late last week, and I told her, I said, why did you put your pronoun on there? Where is this a political thing? There's something I don't. She goes, what? What are you talking about? She goes, oh. Well, we came to the conclusion, she doesn't remember doing it. She believes that she did. She thought that if she put she, her, it was showing she didn't buy into the radical transgender stuff. Because she was promoting herself as, no, I'm a woman.
As a woman.
She didn't know. She thought the complete opposite. It was hilarious.
Right. Oh, interesting.
She goes, I got to take that off.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
That's what she thought.
I mean, if you're not doing if you're not if you're not a wonk, and paying close attention, and I could see that.
Well, she's somebody who's she's in her late 30s, and every job she's been working, she probably puts in because really high in upper management.
Yeah.
Probably she's working. I'm not kidding. Probably an average of 80 hours a week in everything that she had done. And so I was a little shocked going, she's put out so many. And she's so many interviews. I'm like, oh. And then I saw that after she'd gotten the job, and I went, what was your purpose in doing that?
Yeah.
She goes, I can't. I go, wait a minute. I said, was it this? Or She goes, no, I just was saying I'm a woman. I go, no, that's not the code.
Yeah.
She had no idea. She goes, and she said, well, I don't abide by any of that stuff at all. I said,
Right.
I know. That's why I wondered why you put it in. And she goes, well, and we finally figured out because it wasn't a big thing to her, except the fact, oh, yeah, she, her. I'm a woman. It's like, no, don't you understand what you're doing at that point? And she didn't. She didn't understand it.
Right.
And I've known her for a while, so I've known that most of her beliefs are conservative.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. If she's in upper management and working those kind of hours and not complaining about working the hours.
Not protesting that she's working so many hours.
Right, not protesting
Yeah.
mandatory overtime.
Right, yeah.
Where it's an expectation. That's sort of a clue that you're not extremely liberal.
Right. Exactly.
So I told you that a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago or something, and I wanted to give an update to that story. All right, what else we got coming up? Oh, young people. Where young people are today, there was a Jonathan Turley column. He had one. Some polling that was done on young people. Turley's saying the majority of people don't want to get into arguments. In college, even they know it's all crap. They know all the woke stuff. They just don't want to argue.
Well, and I would say not only that, but once again, we don't believe people are stupid. We don't believe young people are stupid. The left believes you're stupid, but I would think if you're in college today. And you're watching. Look, they're all on social media. They're very connected. They know what's going on, and I think a great number of them realize the moment I take part in a debate, I have a conversation like that, I'm in. And there's number one, no way to appease. Right.
And no way to get out.
And no way to get out. You could because silence is violence. The moment you step in, you're committed. And I think that's a problem for the far left on those campuses. That's a very interesting point. We'll talk more coming up.
1-866-90-RED-EYE. Call with your reaction. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right, I found this was really, really interesting, and this was from the CNN survey over the weekend about Americans' alcohol lowest level since the 1930s. Cigarette use, lowest level on record.
Wow.
And more. Here's part of this survey. Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness gracious, this is a huge decline. Americans who drink alcohol, we are looking at the lowest level since the 1930s. What are we talking about? Just 54% on occasion Americans say that they drink alcohol. That's down from 4 points last year. That's down from 62% in 2023. And it is way down from the record high the last year that happened when it was 71% back in 1978. This record low is being driven by younger folks and Republicans as well, as they increasingly view the idea of drinking as an unhealthy habit.
The poll also asked about smoking. What did that show?
Yeah, same exact idea. It turns out we're giving up our vices a little bit. What are we talking about? Smoked a cigarette in the last week. Look at this. In 2025, just 11%. A decade ago, it was 19%. 2 decades ago, 25%. You look back 1974, about 50 years ago, it was 40%. What is that? That's 1/4 the level. My goodness gracious. And again, younger folks are the ones who are saying that they are smoking less, and even when you combine in e-cigarettes, we're still looking at considerably lower levels than we have in past decades.
And people watching are also going to see this tab. And you're saying that people are giving up vices, and you think sex is a vice?
I'm not saying that sex is a vice. According to some people, perhaps it's a vice. It's not a vice according to the Harry Enton school of thought. But bow chickie wow wow going down. What are we talking about? No sex at all in the last year as Kate's off on the side laughing it up.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not laughing.
She's doing something.
Sure.
She's not even sure.
I'm blushing under all all of this makeup.
She's blushing. There we go. In the 1990s, among all adults, no sex at all in the last year was 18%. In 2024, look at that, no sex at all. Up again 10 points. Look at here, those 18 to 21, look at that, 24% in the 1990s. It's the younger folks who are getting up sex. Look at that percentage. Doubled no sex in the last year. Maybe they do need a little bit of alcohol. Maybe those two are related.
What did he?
People sobered up and went, oh.
What did he call it?
Bow chickie wow wow.
Bow chickie wow wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's the, that's.
That was better than Alan on 2.5 Men coming up for a new name.
Yeah.
Hoot nanny yum yum.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. I really didn't watch a lot of that show when it was on, but whenever I catch it, I always catch one of those lines. She had sex? No, what I had was different. That'd be a different word to describe it. What was it? Hoot nanny yum yum.
And whether or not it's a vice depends on how much you're paying for it.
Yeah.
Or I guess if you're paying for it.
Well, I mean, remember, see, young people are smarter than than my generation when we always said, free love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, if we were stupid.
The hippies.
People today are like, nah, nothing's free.
It's not free.
Well, what's interesting is where they don't have what's marijuana use.
Yeah, right.
That would be my question. Yeah. What's marijuana use?
Skyrocket. It's interesting. Is there a correlation between the huge reduction in the consumption of alcohol and also the huge reduction in sexual activity? There might be.
Well, it's when you remember, we had the conversation the day it was my great nephew's. It was my great nephew's birthday, his 17th birthday over the weekend. So got together with a bunch of people. Did the Japanese hibachi thing, which is awesome.
Yeah.
No, I did not have any sake. But I had mentioned that because we were talking about there were a couple of younger people that were there. They were in their younger 20s and maybe even a little bit older that worked at bars.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about how early the bars closed.
Yeah.
And they were like, if we got to stay to 11, we're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like normally it's about 10 that the bars close.
Mm.
And I said, that's got to be the culture of, 18 to 20-year-olds can't drink. And when I said this they were all young, and I said, yeah, when I was 18, we could drink. They went, what?
Yeah.
And they said, how are any of you alive? I go, yeah, that's a question we've always asked ourselves, isn't it?
There's
that's a legitimate
lot of questions there, yeah.
Legitimate question. But, everything. They said live music changed at clubs. Yeah, when I was growing up, there was a regional band that came from another city but just played clubs.
Right.
But they would play the bigger clubs, and they would draw anywhere between 500 and 1,000 people. And they were charging back then, like when the last would have been 77, 78, it was $10. They kept the gate. They got the entire. So if they brought in 1,000 people, they used to play this one bar 3 nights in a row, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And if they drew even 500 each night, that's 1,500 people times $10.
Mm-hmm.
That's $15,000 for a club. For a club band.
Right. Yeah.
That's serious money back then. And they said they had a whole production. They were serious about it. If you were a really good band that the city loved, you could make a living in the clubs. You can't make a living in the clubs anymore.
No.
You can't make They actually made a living.
Look, you get artists that are known artists, and they've got to be very, very careful on planning tours, how extensive the tour is. When you look at everything that's involved on a tour, you're talking about multiple equipment transportation fleets, because if you're doing a tour, then they're going to have to leapfrog, and that's gonna, that's a big deal. Then you've got catering for everybody that's working, your lighting crew, your sound crew, your loading crew, the band, guests, and everything else. You're going to have to feed everybody because you can't have everybody taking a break and going down the street to eat. So you've got all these expenses that go into it, and I think it is changing. A friend of mine, one of my neighbors, who's worked for countless artists over the years. Right now, he's working with Chicago. They were, I don't know if they still are, doing a short residency out at Vegas at the Sphere thing. And we've talked, because I'm interested on, I love the backstory or the behind-the-scenes story of how things are put together. It's always
the business model, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and the business model of it. And, touring today, again, these are known acts. We'll now get down to the club level. And many countless talented musicians out there, especially in all the major cities. And many of them have been working for a long time. They got a ton of experience doing these shows. And it becomes harder and harder to get work. You certainly can't make a living at doing that. But I wonder if, I was thinking about this actually just the other day, how much of it is the whole effect of being diluted? In other words, how many different ways can we get music?
Oh, yeah.
So if back in the day, if you wanted music, right? Because in our day, if you wanted to listen to music, I mean, we had headphones back then, but we didn't have even like a cassette Walkman where you could walk around with your, at least as long as the batteries lasted, with your music or anything. You kind of had to, stay in your room or listen on a record player, listen on a track, listen on a cassette player. You could listen in your car. You could listen on the radio. But now your phone has music wherever you go, and it's always with you. And you have the earbuds, and so the music is always there. And then there's countless with streaming. There's countless artists.
And everybody can afford a big screen TV these days.
Exactly.
And so with the
if you want the concert experience,
you're set.
You get that. And so for those club musicians, I love the fact that they can get exposure on social media and sometimes even make it to Spotify or something like that. But in terms of being able to make it or do anything that is going to be at any income level in the club scene, it's just not going to be there.
Talking to a guy who's a bouncer, and we talk about the drinking age going from 18 to 21, and apparently the polling, a lot of people are drinking a lot less. It's quite expensive out there, though, to buy drinks. I could afford I can afford it now for a lot of different things. Sporting events, I look at it and go, sorry, not a return on the investment.
Yeah.
What do you say that beer was? What? The place around the corner, the Marina Bar.
Mm-hmm.
I went in there for the first time since February the other day. I went, what? You want 2 beers? $18.
Wow.
$9 a beer.
Wow.
The cheap beer, $8. Like, no, sorry.
Wow.
I'll have a beer and I'm gone. What are you offering me? Is there something more than just the beer? I mean, what else are you offering me?
Right.
Is there value added or something
right.
that I'm missing? No, there's no value added. Well, then, forget about it. But I was talking to this one guy who's a bouncer in the area of that I knew of, the downtown area of Buffalo, that used to be open till 5 o'clock. People would be all over the place. Because everything's shut down by 2.
Yeah,
it used to be when I was a club DJ.
Yeah,
it was. You played till 4:30. Last call was at 4. You couldn't sell a drink after 4, but you could drink it till 4:30. He goes, everything's empty by 2 now. Young people just aren't drinking as much.
Right.
And if you think about it, I was talking. I said, what fun used to be? Fun used to be they go to there's a place called the Locker Room, and everybody would go down there, and everybody would stand like they were in a sardine can.
Right.
And that was supposed to be, it was like, we're having fun.
Yeah.
By the way, I hated that. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
But every packed in the sardines
But
going,
it was going on, yeah.
And it was like, you think about that, you're like, today? Nah, I think I'll stay home. I'll stay home and buy a lot cheaper beer and watch a concert on TV.
Right.
And tell a couple of my friends
or not
to come
even
over.
buy the beer, just stay at home. And again, you
Yeah.
mentioned something important here, and they didn't mention weed in this or edibles or whatever.
Yeah.
But
What
I
is
don't know, if that applies. But also the social aspect. Look, we know the birth rate is going down. But there's also this mindset of, even a casual relationship with someone gets me into it's like the college kids who talk about, I don't want to get into a discussion, because if I do, I'm committed to the political argument. Well, even a casual relationship, something comes up, and if she finds out you voted for Trump, she's calling the cops on you or vice versa. And, who wants to be a part of that?
Right.
The values don't match.
I don't want to socialize with these people. So obviously I'm not going to have sex.
Right.
Or you mean to have sex, I got to socialize?
Yeah, exactly. Either way.
So we've got quiet quitting when it comes to sex.
That's it.
Oh, damn, we're doomed.
No, and by the way, it is dangerous. It's a declining population and birth rate.
Yeah, it is.
And we're second only to South Korea right now.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We're Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I was checking on the marijuana use, and they say it's not increasing as much. It seems like it has increased slightly.
Okay.
But in many of the states that have legalized it, it hasn't gone up with teenagers.
Interesting.
And in some cases, teenagers going down Colorado, it's gone down.
Right.
For example. But here's a thing. Is alcohol and marijuana being viewed as something that the older generation does?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
If there's a drastic decrease there's a drastic decrease in drinking and smoking, especially smoking.
Well, I mean,
Drastic
I
decrease.
know for my oldest 3 grandchildren, they are 20, and the twins are actually about to turn 19 1 week from today. Wow. Energy drinks, or maybe a coffee. That's what they're into. They want to wake up and be alert,
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
As always. So here it is. I found the story on Maureen Dowd.
All right.
Talking about Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Let me turn my reading light on.
All right.
It was smaller print. Proving the old adage that a conservative is a liberal who's been mugged. One of the New York Times marquee columnists has agreed stubbornly kicking and screaming that President Donald Trump is right. There's too much crime in the nation's capital. And just possibly Washington, D.C., currently under Democratic control, could benefit from Trump calling in the National Guard and other feds to help restore law and order. She writes, it's ridiculous to drag FBI agents from their desks to be cops on the beat. And the imagery of the National Guard troops, even unarmed, raises a specter of martial law being normalized and weaponized, she said. Then hold your horses. Dowd all of a sudden hits the brakes and does a complete 180. It is also true that many D.C. residents are secretly glad to see more uniforms. No matter what the statistics say, they don't feel safe. This about face was brought on by her sister's close encounter with car thieves. As Dowd tells it, she was having dinner with her sibling in the upstate Georgetown neighborhood recently when a mugging, a metaphorical mugging, zapped the liberal right out of her.
Yeah.
Peg's beloved Buick vanished from its parking lot by Maureen Dowd's house. The two polite officers who responded to our call said they could do little amid a rash of brazen car thefts by teenagers. One officer said that even if they saw the perp driving in her car, they could not chase him because of laws passed by the D.C. Council. Oh. Dowd initially seemed to dismiss Trump's hardcore stance on juvenile crime as over-the-top payback against two 15-year-olds charged with assaulting and attempting to carjack a former Department of Government Efficiency employee. That is, until Peggy's Buick showed up in a park in nearby Maryland the morning after it was snatched, still running, nearly out of gas with a $215 tow charge she was required to pay. Wow. There was a half-eaten pizza, grape soda cans, fast food wrappers, a used condom, and a pair of debit cards inside, Dow reported. But cops said they could do nothing to nail the criminals. Insult to injury, Peggy soon received her sister more than $1,800 worth of speed camera tickets for driving 70 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, and had to prove the car was stolen in order to get the summonses tossed. Dowd's co-workers have not gotten the message. Last week, shortly after the president declared war on the D.C. crime, the Times worked double time to minimize the threat. But Dowd was not favorably impressed with what the New York Times wrote. While the district's homicide rate has fallen, it's almost as high as New York's at its most dangerous in 1990. Dowd, whose father was a cop, confesses she packs pepper spray these days to protect herself from troublemakers when walking around town, a habit that she developed years ago when her mother drove her to the college dorm with a butcher knife on the seat between them. Her mom also gave her a Chinese letter opener with written instructions of how to find the jugular vein of an assailant.
Oh.
Wow. Over the weekend, Times reporters visited D.C. neighborhoods populated primarily with people of color to find out how the residents felt about the attempts to wipe out crime. Perhaps surprisingly to the Times, not everyone in those communities opposes being safer. Although every attempt was made to find people who said they did not trust the president, others admitted to liking to continue breathing. Dowd summed things up, writing, but progressives should not fall into Trump's trap and play down crime, once more getting on the wrong side of inflammatory issue. As with inflation, they should remember that personal experiences can count more than statistics. Quote, I love this one. Even if Trump is being diabolical, she had to throw that in, Democrats should not pretend everything is fine here because it's not.
Well, it's something that, again, your personal experience is going to outweigh whatever stats they want to throw out. We talked about that with the people who live in the D.C. area and what they experience. Even if they're not experiencing that on a daily basis themselves, like directly, or witnessing things on a daily basis, they're hearing about it, they're seeing it in the news, they're fully aware of it. The stats mean nothing to them. The left wants to put, all these bogus stats out there. That means nothing. They're living it. And it's just, again, ludicrous that the left is out there protesting law enforcement. Out there, somebody's finally making an attempt to do something about the enormous level of crime in D.C. And, of course, the left is trying to step in front of it. Think about that. How many years we played audio from a very much younger Joe Biden from 1992.
Yeah.
I don't even stop at stoplights.
Yep.
92. 1992. It was well known for ages. And finally, somebody's doing something to protect the law-abiding citizens of D.C. And no, we can't have that. That's the left. That right there is the political landscape in America. They're targeting ICE. They're protesting law enforcement. How dare we be a nation of laws? How dare we want to enforce those laws?
By the way, what the president's doing is within all of our laws.
Yep.
Watch and every argument, and we went through it last week, the liberals on CNN, whatever. Well, hitting Scott Jennings. Well, what about Louisville? Democratic mayor, Democratic police.
Yep.
Chief.
Right.
It was like to go through all the major cities.
Right.
Then they tried to make, the major cities in red states. States don't control the police in a locality.
Right.
That's a city that does it.
Right.
And they're all Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to find a Republican, it's because he was voted in as a Democrat and then became a Republican.
That's right. The mayor of Dallas.
In the city of Dallas.
Yeah.
But still, it was Dallas. Remember a few years ago, that promoted, okay, we're not going to go after small crimes. We're not going to go after.
Right.
I forgot what it was. If you steal $800.
It was getting close to $1,000.
Right. You call in a report. Can't do that.
File something online.
Yep.
Well, we're not even going to send any officers out there, which tells the bad guys, look, all you have to do, fill the basket up to whatever that limit is, and you could do that repeatedly at how many different stores all day, every day.
I forgot where it was. I just saw the headline that a Chick-fil-A somewhere in the city said you can't come in unless you have if you're a young person, you can't come in unless you have an adult with you.
Wow.
Can't even come into the store.
Yeah.
We've seen everything locked up in these stores.
Yeah.
And you don't think the message is coming through?
Right.
And then remember in some of these cities after the riots of 2020, businesses just said, we're gone. I've been a talk show host long enough where I remember, not just the argument of redlining for houses, but redlining for businesses, that we want business to be down here.
Right.
We want business to be in the city.
Right.
So business came to the city summer of 2020.
Right.
So many of them were vandalized and destroyed. The now complete areas of downtown USA.
Basically, yeah.
businesses have just left. They said, sorry, we can't do it. Grocery stores have left. So the next thing is, okay, let's have a government grocery store.
Right.
Since we've made it a hellhole to do business here, I guess we're going to have to go communist, since we, as the elected officials, will not enforce law, and we coddle the criminal. Think about that.
Yep. Yeah.
We coddle the criminal to go commie.
Yep.
That's how we convince you to become a commie. Coddle the criminal, go commie.
And by the way, that will completely stop crime.
So, what, the government stores?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Completely do away with all the crime. It's not going to change anything except making it much, much worse and harder, and, of course, more expensive for the taxpayer.
Didn't change it in Kansas City. One of the reasons they closed.
Nope.
Theft, crime in the area.
Right. Yep.
I mean, these are basic things.
They were having sex, what they say, outside the store,
Yeah.
inside the store, or something.
Yeah, these are
By the way, it's
somebody's having sex.
Put that in your poll. But we don't know if they were young people. But that's the problem. Again, the left solution is always, of course, what? More government. More government.
Well, the thing is, the problem with the left is these aren't even things that have ever been viewed as political.
Right.
Police enforcing the law.
Right.
You know.
Because when it comes to what they're doing in D.C., to be clear, and you brought this up last week, it bears repeating here, what's the number one role of the federal government is to protect the American people. They do have this jurisdiction in D.C. They have a right, the president has a right to do this.
Well, actually, all government's first job, not just the federal. But,
Sure,
but
you could
if you
apply
want
it
to make
to-
it in this
yes.
case, right?
Right.
I mean, they're advocating their role. The
Right.
cities are saying, we don't give a damn about the citizens.
And they don't.
We just don't care about
We don't.
you. But these same citizens keep voting those people into office.
Yep. Yep.
What do you do?
Mamdani is doing well in the polls right now.
Yeah.
I think it looks like, as of right now, if the election were held today,
Today he would win.
He's got it. Good luck, New York City.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
We'll get to that story that if it keeps going this way by 2030, an additional 10 seats for Republicans, not redistricting. Well, it would come from redistricting, but 10, well, I guess 10 general seats just based on population. So redistricting isn't a part of it until they actually get the population.
Yeah, yeah.
But 10 additional seats.
Yeah.
In Republican states by 2030, just because of the movement of people. Why are people moving?
Because things are so bad.
Yeah. Things are so bad.
Yep. And that's going to continue.
Yep.
It might happen before 2030.
866-98 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. When driving, you need to manage the space around your vehicle so that there's enough space to allow you to adjust when traffic conditions change. The space ahead of your vehicle is the most important and one of the easiest to monitor and adjust as needed. One rule of thumb is to allow at least 1 second for each 10 feet of vehicle length at speeds below 40 miles per hour. At greater speeds, add an additional second. It's impossible to keep other drivers from tailgating you, but there are some things you can do to make it safer, such as increasing your following distance, avoiding quick lane changes, and slowing down. There are also several things you should do to ensure that there is plenty of space between the side of your vehicle and other vehicles. Don't hug the center line, avoid hugging the right side of the road, and avoid traveling alongside other vehicles in strong winds, especially crosswinds. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up on the bottom of the hour, the really interesting survey. This is fascinating because we wonder, and we did it earlier about young people aren't drinking, aren't smoking, aren't having sex.
Yeah.
This was I think Northwestern University researchers detailed these findings. I would just give you the generalized findings and get into it. Almost 90% of the confidential interviews that they did with undergraduates at Northwestern University and the University of Michigan, and it was 1,452 confidential interviews. When asked, do you adopt more liberal views in the class just to satisfy your professors, 88% said yes.
I've had people close to me that said when they were going through college, they had to hold back. You can't talk about how you really feel.
Yeah. So they pretend to hold opinions liberal opinions that they do not hold. Oh, what does that build in young people?
I don't know, the ability to lie.
Resentment.
Sure, yeah.
Resentment.
Yeah.
The man. Remember the man?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The man is so oppressive that young people are too afraid to confront the man. The man.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, and every time they have to do that, every time they have to pull back or pretend to be something they're not, that resentment keeps building, and it never goes away. And it also builds an opinion, based on, my gosh, this is how the world is, because I can't possibly say I'm against this. Otherwise, my career could be at stake, or in college, my grades, my degree, all this money I've spent.
You know what that's called? Performative morality.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah, that's good. That's a great phrase.
They actually use the term. The young people have become fluent in performative morality.
Wow.
They learn to rehearse what is safe for the adult world that they're in.
Go along to get along.
We'll have that coming up. Yeah.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Whoa. Wait a minute here.
What?
Has the left even alienated Bill Kristol now?
What?
I'm just going through X here and look. From yesterday, I want to congratulate leading Democrats for their insistence on saying the takeover of D.C. is a stunt or a distraction. It's a rare trifecta of intellectual failure, political stupidity, and moral obtuseness.
Well. Wow.
All right, we'll get to that. I just saw that. I had to mention that because that shocked me.
I mean, they've lost Bill Kristol. But
I'll say this on Monday. Already we've had 3 or 4 things, which is like, wow.
Yeah.
And we had said it. We normally say it on the Friday show. What more insanity is going to come from the left next week? And it's already hit us, so I just had to mention that one because it's even Bill Christian's like, okay, I've been a never Trumper for a while, but you guys just stop it for God's sake.
You guys are crazy.
I want to be with you. I don't want to be with Trump.
Yeah.
I want to be with you, but you're making it so I can't be. But this new study that's out that Jonathan Turley wrote about in a recent op-ed piece, Northwestern University researchers Forrest Rome and Kevin Waldman detailed their findings. Between 2023 and 2025, this is about young people that actually don't believe the crap they're being taught in college. We conducted 1,452 confidential interviews with undergraduates at Northwestern University and the University of Michigan. We asked, have you pretended to hold more progressive views than you truly endorse to succeed socially or academically? An astounding 88% said yes. Those students were not cynical, but adaptive. In a campus environment where grades, leadership, and peer belonging often hinge on the fluency and performative morality, young adults quickly learn to rehearse what is safe. The result is not conviction, but compliance. And beneath that compliance, something vital is lost. This has been a long-standing problem in higher education. The current generation of faculty and administrators has destroyed the sense of free thought and expression on our campuses. Faced with consistent polling showing that students feel compelled to mimic liberal ideology and viewpoints, faculty shrug or even attack students for being weak. In a debate that I had at Harvard Law School, a Harvard professor called such students conservative snowflakes. However, they are not conservative. Take Harvard. A recent survey of the graduating class by the Classroom Social Compact Committee found that despite an overwhelming liberal faculty and student body, even liberal Harvard students found a chilling environment for free expression at the school, and it was getting worse. The results show a 13% decrease from the class of 2023. Last year, Harvard found itself in a familiar spot on the annual ranking of the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, dead last among 251 universities and colleges. What is most striking is the fact that Harvard has created this hostile environment while maintaining an overwhelmingly liberal student body and faculty. Only 9% of the class identified as conservatives or very conservative. By the way, I think you know where this is going, right? Just exactly what we have said. It's funny because I don't even have to go through Eric. He knew exactly where my mind was going, and we'll get to that in just a second. Yet even liberals feel stifled at Harvard. Only 41% of liberal students reported being comfortable discussing controversial topics. Only 25% of moderates and 17% of conservatives felt comfortable in doing so. The sense of orthodoxy conveyed by the Harvard faculty, which itself does not tolerate opposing voices except for a handful of conservative academics. The Harvard Crimson has documented how the school's departments have virtually eliminated Republicans. In one study of multiple departments last year, they found that more than 75% of the faculty self-identified as liberal or very liberal. Only 5% identified as conservatives, only 0.4% as very conservative. The virtual purging of conservative faculty members across the country sends a message to students that such ideas are not favored or acceptable. The result is that the vast majority of students, liberal and conservative, self-censor in an environment of intolerance. Wow. In the latest study, the researcher found 78% of students told us they self-censor on their beliefs surrounding gender identity, 72% on politics, 68% on family values. More than 80% said they had submitted classwork that misrepresented their views in order to align with the professors. For many, this has become second nature, an instinct for academic and professional self-preservation. The author's research suggested on some issues, such as the nature of gender and gender identity, students' actual beliefs are actually quite different from what appears to be the prevailing narrative on campus. They write further, authenticity, once considered a psychological good. Man, I was going to go there.
Yeah.
Before I even read the article,
Yeah,
I was going there when I got to that point. I'm like, nobody's authentic.
Right.
Nobody's authentic.
Right.
You cannot build trust in a society if people think everybody else is BSing them.
Right.
Authenticity, once considered a psychological good, has become a social liability, and this fragmentation doesn't end at the classroom door. 73% of students reported mistrust in conversations about these values with close friends. Nearly half said they routinely conceal beliefs in intimate relationships for fear of ideological fallout. This is not simply peer pressure. It is identity regulation at scale, and it's being institutionalized. Universities often, this is not from Jonathan Turley, these are the researchers. Universities often justify these dynamics in the name of inclusion, but inclusion that demands dishonesty is not ensuring psychological safety, it's sanctioning self-abandonment. An attempt to engineer moral unity, higher education has mistaken consensus for growth and compliance for care. Wow. Again, if students saw a meaningful number of conservative, libertarian, and other faculty members, they might believe that opposing views are tolerated. Instead, they receive a steady drumbeat of often strident ideological commentary. I constantly hear reports of students having to sit through lectures from faculty members against conservative politicians, justices, and values. Years ago, a graduating student told me that my Supreme Court class in her final term was the first time in college or law school that she felt comfortable expressing her conservative views, including pro-life views. It was a sad statement about the state of higher education. And you know what I relate to on this? You and I talk about, he called the show a couple of times, well, maybe last time, maybe 10 years ago, the late Professor Alan Sachs from the University of Texas at Arlington.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did his class a number of times, his political science class.
Right.
And so this was really
you spoke to them in terms. You spoke to them. You didn't take the class.
Yes. I was the class.
Right. Yeah.
Today's class.
Anyone?
Today's class. Gary McNamara. No. I had so much fun. I mean, it was a rolling exchange of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the one class, 'cause I spoke to a number of classes, but I remember the one class, and it was in, where you're down at there's like, it's almost like athletic seating. It's almost like a theater setting.
Yeah, right.
And I'd be saying something, and someone would shake their head. I go, what does that mean? You're shaking your head. I can look and do that. You're shaking your head. You can tell me, why do you disagree with me? Where do you think I'm weak on my argument?
Right.
It was wonderful. And you'd look over, Dr. Alan Sachs. There's this, when I would get into it with people, but it was always cordial. It might get a little passionate. I think you're wrong here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not wrong here because of and I would turn to him, and he would have the biggest smile on his face.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt so good about it. And it wasn't the fact of whether I thought I was winning or losing the argument, which I was always winning. It's not that
be clear.
It's not about, that if I cared if I was winning or losing the argument, which I was winning. It was the fact that they were thinking.
Yeah.
That's what mattered to me at that point, because at that point, you know, he wanted me in there in order to stretch their brains.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted me to do.
Sure.
And that's what you should be doing. That's what I'm telling you. That's what calculus did to me. Calculus fried my brains. And when I was in college, I didn't need to do acid. I took calculus 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expanding my mind with acid.
Mm-hmm.
That's because you don't have the guts to take calculus. You want a hard drug. You really want to fry your brain? The commercial should have been, here's your brain on calculus.
Yeah.
With that egg in there.
That's why I just said no to calculus.
The only thing is, you never became addicted to that mind fry.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no addiction.
Yeah, there was zero chance I was ever going to be addicted.
Eric, it was so. I couldn't wait when he said, hey, can you come and do a class?
After you and I started working together, he tried to get us there because our schedule just wouldn't work.
Yeah, he
But
tried to get both
he
of us
invited
there.
us,
Yeah.
and
We just
pretty much
couldn't do
kept an open invitation, and we just weren't able to make it work because of the schedule. But you know, look, when you have a situation like that where you're basically, they have to, you know, as they mentioned here, you have to abandon your own convictions and then pretend to take on the convictions of others in order to get what the system says you need. Think about that. Why are you there? Well, you're there to learn. You're there. You're supposed to actually be getting something aside from the sheepskin. You're supposed to be getting not just the experience, but learning about ideas, considering things, learning things that you didn't know before. And at that age, you know, with most people who attend college, there are some older folks that go, but at that age, you're learning a lot. You're taking in a lot. There's, you know, and your mind is opened. When they come in and try and narrow that down, and you better behave this way or you don't get the grade, that's what's implied. I had a family member tell me she didn't dare speak up. Ever. She was just going to walk the walk, do the deed, and graduate. And that's exactly what she did.
I would have been kicked out of college.
I wouldn't have been able to. That's the thing. There's no way. I get restless anyway. A classroom for me is, you know, it would be, I don't know. That would be tough. I didn't go to college for that reason. But if I had, and that became the norm of, you know, and that was what I had to do to get done, there's no way. They would have kicked me out.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Our show ends in an hour. When our show ends, it becomes a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so all 5 hours is there. You can listen to whatever portion, if you missed part of it, that you wish. And if for some reason you cannot listen to one of our great radio stations live overnight, for whatever reason, that's our preferred way, by the way. But if you can't, well, then we stream all 5 hours live on our Red Eye Radio app. We'll continue with the discussion on that new research that was out from Northwestern University, interviewing undergraduates at Northwestern and University of Michigan. 88% saying, we don't tell the truth in class. We don't tell the truth in political science. We don't tell the truth about what we really believe. Even liberals don't tell the truth. That's how radically liberal these campuses are. Wow. We'll get to that coming up more.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.